brows. I do use a brow gel to start with, just because I've got some little hairs that don't want to cooperate with other little hairs. So the one that I use is all in one tube, so you've got your wand in the tube. I have tried their ones that do come sort of in those little circular containers. I personally find they're too sticky and they dry white, so they're a no-go in the Sheglam. This is the wand, I'll just show you. So on the one side it has its brush and the other side is flat. So the way that I use this is I will brush the hairs up just to give me sort of that thicker brush to create a denser brow. Then I will use the flatter ends and just flatten it all out. And I find that just lifts the brow into a shape without making it very thin. And you can sort of repeat. If you really want the brow gel to set in, you may need to do a couple. And then once this is dry, I'll move on to my eyebrow pencil. The Sheen eyebrow pencil that I use is this one. It's called Better Brows Long Lasting Eyebrow Pencil. It has its own brush as well as sort of a flatter wedge end as opposed to a pencil. So I just use the little mechanical winding device in the center. You don't want it too high, you don't want to snap it off. And then I start in the corner of the brow here. Move out to the edge. I don't like mine too dark because I've got already like harsh angles on my face. And then once I've done that, I use the brow end. There we go. And then you get a nice sort of brow shape. Like the Sheglam eyeshadow palette, which is what I'm going to review next. So the eyeshadow palette that I got is the Wonka bar. Originally I kind of just bought it as a joke, but it's really good and it is now my go-to. It comes like this in the shape of a Wonka bar, and it does have various colours inside. It also smells a little bit like chocolate. It has cream sort of based shadows as well as glitter and matte. I'm going to start off just using my cream base, so I use a smaller brush for this. I'm going to use the cream base here called Malt, and I set that right from the corners of the eye all the way across. Do both eyes. One is done. I'm going to move on to the next colour. I like to use oranges for the blue eyes, so the next colour I'm going to use is Scrumdiddlydumptious. So I use a bit of a flatter brush for this portion. This stays on really nicely, by the way. I have tried some of the other Sheglam palettes and none of them hold for as many hours as this one. Don't worry, it's not going to end up like this. I will do a blend. And then finish off just with a darker colour on the edge, so I'm going to use Toffee. I always sort of do the little flick for a cat eye, but obviously that wouldn't be suiting everybody's face shape. Again, don't freak out, I will blend this. So for the blend, I'm going to use a blending brush. And this one is specific for eyeshadow. I just do small little circular motions just to blend sort of from the center to the outer corner. It is really important to use a very, very soft blending brush. So, a trick that I do just to try and make sure that I don't have any sort of smudges on the edge is I just get my Sheglam concealer back again, and because it has such a flat wand, I just do a flat line. Yep. Flat line there. Brush again, that's just got this shorter end here, and I'm just going to lightly dab along, just to also create a little bit of symmetry between the two eyes here. Right, let's move on to the mascara. This has been my favourite find on Sheglam. I used to use Too Faced as my go-to mascara. I always have trouble removing mascara, and I'm super conscious about damaging lashes when I am doing this. I have found this particular product to be super easy to remove. This one's called Big Time Eyes. It comes in a very similar tube shape to what you would get with, say, Maybelline, but the actual brush itself is very similar to the Too Faced brush. This is the brush, and I'll show you the difference between the eyes now as we do it. I find with this particular one, the technique that is best for me is just moving a little bit like this through the hairs as opposed to a roll up, and I go from the roots and quite slowly. I touch up the ends just to lengthen out, and you can see the difference there. It's amazing, really beautiful. Mascara, no mascara, mascara, no mascara. Okay, just do the other eye. This would look a bit weird coming out like this. By the way, I just did a classic thing you're not supposed to do with your mascara. I did a pump of the wand in the tube. Don't do that. You also only need a very, very small amount, so always make sure to wipe off a little bit of the excess on the side of the tube on the lip. Again, you could also layer this. If you just did sort of the one sweep, you would have a little bit of a lighter, more natural look. So that's all Sheglam at this stage still.